What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Toby. I do random things. And today we are reading Journal 3, Part 6. Let's get started. Now, where we last left off, this new guy had been writing in the book. His name is Dipper Pines. And he encountered some paranormal stuff. He encountered Bill Cipher, briefly. And at the very end of our last episode, he was saying stuff like, I still have no idea why any of this is happening. I think he said, I'm running out of time to figure this out. No more fooling around. If I'm ever going to get to the bottom of this, I need to find out what happened to the author. Time to get serious. So, let's see if he did get serious. I just got a huge break. A huge break. These super serious government agents showed up today at the shack. They started poking around and uttering phrases like mysterious activity and conspiracy of paranormal origin. Man, they were speaking my language. Of course, Stan gave them the brush off and told me not to speak with them. But I've got to show them this book. Once the three of us put our heads together, we'll crack the case of Gravity Falls wide open. And after that, who knows what the future might hold. July 21st. The grand reopening after party was a total train wreck. There was a zombie attack, and Seuss became a zombie. We're in the middle of curing him right now. But here's the real headline of the night. Stan knows about the magic. He's known all along. I mean, he'd have to be really stupid or actually blind to not have seen something after living in Gravity Falls for 30 years. But Mabel and I both bought his clueless old man routine. He says that he was lying to protect us kids. Part of me thinks that there's got to be more to it than that. But Mabel believes what Stan told us, and I have to admit that he did kick a lot of zombie butt to keep us safe. July 23rd. Wow, the last few days have been more stressful than the rest of the summer put together. First we went up against a horde of zombies, and now we faced and defeated the shapeshifter. It almost feels like the journal itself is fighting us as I took my vow to find the author, like it doesn't want its secrets revealed. Well, that sounds super paranoid and maybe even a little insane. I'm going to bed. Ugh, it's 3 a.m. and I've barely slept. Seuss was right. Every time I fall asleep, I start having nightmares about the shapeshifter. But it's worse when I'm awake because I just start thinking about Wendy and how I confess my feelings. I wish I could shapeshift into someone else right now. Someone having a normal summer vacation without an impossible crush or on an impossible girl. Oof. Know how that goes. At least one good thing came out of our encounter with the shapeshifter. The laptop. Sue says this thing is really old, like super old, 1980s old. 1980s, almost 50 years ago. There are some unique keys with weird symbols. Are they in code, magical, alien? Calling this thing a laptop is kind of a stretch. It's so heavy it would cut off the circulation to your legs. Who knows what information is hidden inside? If Seuss can get this thing fixed, it could be the clue that finally solves the big mysteries of Gravity Falls. Or it might be just filled with some classic 8-bit games. Either way, it's a win. All of this is just filler stuff. It's not important. July 29th. A break in the case. I've been looking for a hint about the author's whereabouts this entire summer. But sometimes the answers are staring you right in the face. We uncovered and defeated the Society of the Blind Eye, and we owe our success to Old Man McGucket. Remember the guy I thought was just a lunatic hillbilly back during our Gobblewalker adventure? Turns out that crazy old man has a heart of gold and saved our minds. But more important, McGucket used to be a brilliant scientist, specifically the one who worked with the author. The F the author referred to was Fiddleford McGucket, and he could be the key to unraveling the big mysteries of Gravity Falls. But more, if he can get his mind and memories back. There are encouraging signs, although he still does seem to like talking to raccoons. Mabel and I have hope, and we are glad to have made a new friend. Just returned from our second trip to the future, and I'd be happy to never go there again. The freakiest part of the whole experience? Time, baby. Apparently, in the future, this guy rules the entire planet with a chubby dimpled fist. In the year 2070-12, everyone obeys him. All schools pledge allegiance to him, and he gums to death anyone who causes him trouble. He can be strangely merciful when he's not going into a tantrum or making his citizens fight to the death over a time wish. He gave Blendon his job back before retiring to nap for 2,000 years. I'm sure he meant just 20 minutes. Oh, that page was somewhat out of context. So you remember how the author thought there were only 10 categories of ghosts? Turns out he was way wrong, because we discovered the Category 11, Demonic Vengeance Spectre. Axe stuck in his head from injury 150 years ago. Can pull it out and drag it along the ground and make your skin crawl. Fiery beard changes from blue to red, depending on just how intense his bloodlust is at any given moment. Also from woodification powers, aside from woodification powers, turning people into wood, he can also make taxidermy do his bidding. Good thing he wasn't in the Mystery Shack. I would not have wanted to see Stan's displays come to life. The ghost sure loved to talk, mainly about his backstories with the Northwest and how they deserve to be haunted. Except for Pacifica. The only thing stranger than meeting this ghost was discovering that Pacifica has... I don't know who Pacifica is. I don't think they mentioned it last episode, so I'm going to skip this page. Stan has been arrested. Okay, that happens all the time. But this time it's serious. Remember those government agents? Turns out they're alive, and they've been watching us. They say Stan stole a bunch of radioactive waste, and is using it to power a doomsday machine, like some kind of supervillain. The Stan I know has never had any evil plan beyond annoying tourists. But the more I think about it, the more I begin to wonder if Stan is hiding something. I mean, Stan has lied to us every single day since we got here. Even more troubling, last night McGucket said that the repaired laptop was showing signs of some dangerous machinery that was about to go off. Is this all connected? Who is telling the truth? I wish there was just one adult out there who would play it straight with me, who would tell me the truth and not lie because they think I'm too young to handle what is going on in this town. I've caught monsters, defeated ghosts, survived demonic possession, and yet still no one takes me seriously enough to be honest with me. And now Mabel and I are trapped in protective custody, being driven to who knows where by Agent Trigger, who keeps staring at us with his really intense eyes. Oh no, he just saw my journal. I hope he doesn't take... And that's where it trails off. Well, I think that was quite interesting. Let's proceed to the next bit, shall we? Classified. This piece of evidence was taken into custody by Agent Jeff Trigger. Case number 212618. For immediate shipment to warehouse B51. Note. Book may have evidence into the true identity of Stanford Pines. Note. Stanford is in custody and will soon be taken to our superiors for questioning. Blank page. More blank page. Against all odds, I'm back. I never thought in 1,000 years that I would hold this book again. The weight of it in my hands and the smell of its parchment whisks my memory back to the tragic accident that forever changed my life. Although I was not around to record it, 30 years ago I got into a fight with my brother and was knocked through my very own interdimensional portal into a universe beyond my imagination. The last 3 decades have been frightening, exciting, cruel, and strange. And as I find myself back in my old study, writing in my old journal, it is hard to shake the feeling that I have awoken from a bizarre 30-year dream. How is it that I am back? It turns out that despite my warnings and the possibility of global catastrophe, Stanley managed to reactivate the portal and bring me back to my home dimension. While his intentions might have been pure, he was just as careless bringing me back as he was knocking me through in the first place. He destroyed the portal in the process, risked endangering the entire fabric of reality, and even found himself the target of a federal manhunt by the U.S. government. A logical progression from his days in the principal's office. If it weren't for Fiddleford's memory ray, I'd likely be writing from some secret government prison by now. Fortunately, as far as the government is concerned, our encounter never happened. Trigger and Powers, the agents, will likely get deja vu the next time they hear the words Gravity Falls. But I should not dwell on the past. There will be time enough to ruminate on my years spent traveling through the interdimensional rift and the strange things I saw there. First, I must focus on the present and on the problems created by a man who is responsible for my latest twist of fate, my brother Stanley. Quite interesting. So, apparently, the author was Stanford, and Stanford was Stanley. Whoa! When I first saw him, I assumed I had once again found myself in an alternate parallel dimension. Gone was the stubborn, mullet-haired, frostbitten vagabond who had pushed me into the portal many years earlier, replaced by a wrinkly carnival barker with my father's face, fez, and girdle. I'd spent the last 30 years contemplating what I might do if I saw Stanley again. Would I even be able to look at him in the eye after what he did? Would I apologize for shutting him out of my life? As I turned out, instinct took over, and I punched him right in the face. Face. Oh, he drew a little diagram on him. Face. Inherited dad's nose and mom's untrustworthy tongue. 2. Gut. I've spent the last 30 years keeping up an extensive exercise and diet regimen. Stanley hasn't. 3. Suit. Dad's suit, which he gave to me after graduation. He thought I'd wear it for my wedding. I thought I'd wear it to accept an award. Instead, Stanley has used it to trick tourists and sell keychains. 4. Fez. Dad's hat. He never did tell us much about the Royal Order of the Holy Mackerel. 5. Machinery. Operated my portal like a monkey pretending to be a mechanic. Half the instruments are held together with duct tape. Yes, despite the extra pounds and wrinkles, Stanley is still the irresponsible, shortcut-loving, overgrown child I've remembered from the past. Most unbelievable, his first thought upon seeing me again was to expect a thank you. A thank you after destroying my life. Even worse, he spent the last 30 years avoiding the law by faking his own death, impersonating me, and scamming the local townsfolk with a money-making ruse so absurd it would even make my profit-loving father blush. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And it turns out he's become a fraud for a living. I nearly fainted when I saw what he had done to the Mystery Shack. Unbelievable. Once a haven of scientific study, the cabin I built with my grant money has been transformed by Stanley over the years into a hokey freak show that mocks everything about the study of the paranormal. Everything has changed. My inventing room, now a hall of ludicrous taxidermies. My thinking parlor, now a man cave tackier than a TGI Apple Rucker's family restaurant. My T-Rex skull is being used as a coffee table. Even my storage room is now an overpriced gift shop, more cluttered than Pine's Ponds. A tourist asked me if she could get a discount on a Burpin Stanford Pines figurine, since it wasn't burpin' loud enough. These are the bane of my existence. I gathered them up and burned them immediately. Walking around my old lab, I feel like a dead man's ghost haunting a strange funhouse mirror version of his past life. I resolved to take back my home and rebuild the life that Stanley has taken from me, but I must wait until the summer is over. For the sake of the summertime newcomers I find living and working here, our impressions of them are as follows. Seuss. Upon first seeing this specimen, I believed him to be one of the hairless gopher people of the dimension Rodentus 7. I was shocked to discover that he is actually a human adult man. Quarantined him for testing due to exposure to portal radiation. Findings: hair growth appears in strange, awkward patches. Is he a man? Is he a baby? 2. Evidence of autolysis suggests that he survived a zombie bite. When I brought this up, he laughed and said, "That was one crazy party, dude." 4. Seems to have... Okay. I may need to recheck him with my instruments. The strange thing about him is his utter idolization of my brother Stanley. Wendy Corduroy. I recognized the name instantly. Stanley's other hired helper is the teenage daughter of Boyish Dan Corduroy, the local lumberjack who helped construct my lab back in the 80s. I hear he's grown quite a bit since then. Suze had apparently told her everything about me by the time we met. She was so unfazed by seeing me that she simply said, "Sup, Stan, too," and started casually typing to her friends on one of the computing phones that seemed so popular in the present. Mabel Pines. At least there is some good news. I am a great uncle, or grunkle, as Stanley seems oddly insistent on saying. Apparently, Sherman Pine's grandkids have been staying with Stanley for the summer. It's hard to believe the parents would trust these kids with Stanley. They clearly thought he was me. I was instantly charmed by Mabel's enthusiastic attitude, although a little hesitant about her utter fascination with my 6 finger. She has already started making me finger puppets for me, despite my request for her not to. After getting her to calm down for a moment, I eventually subjected Mabel to the same testing as Seuss, and found her to be an odd specimen as well. When I asked her to say, "Ah," she screamed for a whole minute and coughed up glitter. Not normal. Shares the family sweet tooth. Diet seems to consist solely of items with the word gummy in them. I will need to discuss nutrition with Stanley. 3. Apparently knits a new sweater every day. I may request her help in repairing mine. I gave her several different Rorschach tests to make sure she wasn't psychologically damaged by our experience with the portal. Here's how she interpreted them, and they're at the bottom. These interpretations are unusual. I may need to do further psychological testing. Dipper Pines. Twins run in the family. Although unfortunately that is the only family resemblance I see in this overly eager, unusually sweaty 12-year-old. Every time I made direct eye contact with this fretful child, he started gagging like he was going to throw up. And when I tested his heart rate for side effects of dimension fever, I found it going a mile a minute. The only thing I could glean from his stammering was that, shockingly, he was the one to find Journal 3's hiding place in the forest. I'm not sure how accessing my journal was even possible. The only explanation is that the circuitry must have become unstable over time, and perhaps water damage loosened the machinery. Although I'm grateful to have my journal back, a quick look through reveals that he has been treating this important scientific document as his own personal diary, and generally scribbling over my work with his own notations. I will have to review when I have a moment to survey the damage. Observations. Constantly sweating. Perhaps he takes after Stanley. Fidgeting suggests that he may still be recovering from shock of portal contact. Very thin limbs, almost noodly. Were his bones weakened by exposure to portal radiation? Rank odor. Clearly hasn't bathed recently. Stanley should never be put in charge of children. 5. Refused to take off his hat. That hat. This is far more than a coincidence. The sense of deja vu I get looking at these symbols are overwhelming. The symbols in the middle. The cave writing I saw many years ago said that these symbols, and others, had the power to bring about great change, but so many prophecies and legends turned out to be Bill's lies. Could this just be another one of Bill's tricks? How well did the ancient people of Gravity Falls truly understand Bill's powers? And what are the odds that this randomly assorted group could have anything to do with my destiny? I must not give this too much thought. The time for ancient superstitions has passed. I must focus on scientific ways to address the troubles I fear are coming. And that is where we will end for now. I hope you all enjoyed. This one had quite a bit of lore. I think earlier I said this was going to be an 8-part series. I think I miscalculated. I'll have to check. It's either 7 or 8 parts. So stay tuned for the next part, which is either the next part or the last part. And I will see you in the very near future. Bye.